Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to the Avishkar webinar series for educators and teachers, where every month we try and address one of the topics which is relevant and important for us as educators, practitioners, especially K through 12, and essentially address how we as educators need to evolve with the fast pace of changing world around us. Just this morning, I was seeing the demo of Neuralink, which is Elon Musk's next company, and that talked about and that was about a brain chip that can be implanted in your skull, and it talks about the brain machine interface. Basically, are able to collect data from your brain and address some of the problems in your mind and brain through that. Um, that's the kind of first live example of this that I have seen. I've heard about it in theory and research quite a bit. And this was possible because of very high precision surgical robot, which enables you to do that. So, all of this is happening around us. We are seeing drone deliveries, we are seeing technology just changing the way we communicate, we live our lives. And that has special significance for us as educators, and what it means for us. Um, Today, we will specifically talk about the new Education Policy 2020, which seems like a progressive education document that the government put out earlier this year, and talks about it's about a 54-page document, which addresses a lot of the things that we have been talking about over the last many decades. So, the idea today is unentangle some of the pieces of that. And while there are lots of good things in the policy, what it really means for us at the implementation level. And I'm so thrilled and honored to be joined by three very eminent educators, practitioners, people who have committed long years to thinking about education and doing something about it in India. I'll do a very quick round of introductions and then we'll jump right in. So, starting with Dr. M.M. Pant, I think he needs no introduction. He is a physics professor, an academician, a scientific storyteller, a technology futurist, all rolled into one. And that doesn't even talk about his biggest skill, and contribution, which is that he makes himself available to anybody who is trying to make a dent in education. He's absolutely liberal with his advice, with his with information, with his time for anyone, and in the spirit of pay it forward. And I have been at the receiving end of that. I've been the beneficiary of that over the last decade, concepts and bringing them to real life. Prior to Central Square, he was with another great company called Exceed, where he brought some of those concepts to life, through curriculum planning. And so he's thought deep and hard about these issues, and I'm really looking forward to understanding his perspective on NEP and other education issues. He is a graduate from Harvard School of Education, did his master's from Georgia Tech, and has a BTech from NIT Rourkela. Thank you for joining us, Anustu.
Thank you.
Uh, Anand Ingle. Anand Ingle has been a practitioner in the field of edtech for the last over 2 decades. He's the director of AVM Infotech, which provides technology solutions to schools. And he the thing about Anand is, again, as we talk about a lot of these theoretical concepts in education, he takes that and says, okay, what does it mean to implement them on the ground? He works extensively with schools, principals, students, to really take these technology concept. What does AI mean on the ground? How do we teach children AI and help schools not only build their strategy, but say how do we implement it on the ground? Every time I interact with Anand, I come back a little more clear headed about the issues that I might be thinking about. So thank you so much for joining us, Anand.
Thank you.
So let's begin. You know, NEP 2020 is a long, 54-page document. Let's start with kind of saying, okay, what are the key highlights of NEP 2020? Anustup, I'll start with you. What do you think are the key highlights for you in this document, and how do you perceive this document?
Thank you for, yeah. The NEP 2020, as far as I'm concerned, now I'm not going to all the details, but it makes two or three things extremely clear. One is that it establishes foundational learning, foundational literacy and numeracy for all children uh, by 2025, by grade 3, a national priority. Everybody has been talking about foundational literacy and numeracy. Number of reports have come in saying how poor our children are prepared with these basic skills, but there hasn't been yet a milestone set, yet a stake in the ground as far as foundational literacy and numeracy. I think it does that first. Second, related to that, what it does is establish that early childhood education. And Pooja, I can't think of a person who's more passionate about early childhood education than you are. As again a national priority, lots of children come into school without the preparation necessary to even enter school, and the gap starts there as soon as they enter school. And I think it does that. It does a number of other things in terms of restructuring, in terms of vocational education, in terms of making higher education, so on and so forth. But there is one thing I noticed in the document, that it first time it makes a case, and perhaps that's related to the topic at hand. It makes a case that we should move away from rote learning, that it's the first time I have seen that there's a very strong indication that we have been mired in rote learning, and it makes a strong case that we should make learning a lot more about inquiry, a lot more uh, about children's thinking rather than about feeding more and more information to children. And if I may quote from the NEP, it says the key overall thrust of curriculum and pedagogy reform across all stages to move education system towards real understanding and towards learning how to learn, and away from the culture of rote learning as is largely present today. Curriculum content will be reduced to meet subject to its core essentials, to make space for critical thinking and more holistic, inquiry based, discovery based, discussion based, and analysis based learning. I just thought I should quote from the document itself so that we know that how important this new direction could be. Of course, there are a lot of people, and justifiably so, who are concerned about the implementation of all of this. But I think the policy direction, the North Star, is really clear.
Great. Thanks, Anustup. Dr. Pant, would you like to comment on what you see are the highlights?
So, one thing I want to bring you back to the original thing, what is Indian educational policy? I think we have got overly accepted as if all this is already done or is to be done. And I want to draw attention, this is just a kind of a document for the government to write somewhere what it thinks. It is a very important aspect to understand, do nothing more than that. You cannot do anything on the policy document. All education matters are settled by acts of parliament, elections, authoritative gazette notifications, and so on. Policies are largely irrelevant. I want to spend some time explaining what is kind of a hype about the policy. Now, as educators, we have lined the Macaulay model for a long time. And what did it produce? It produced C.V. Raman, it was a Bharat Ratna he did not get. It produced Satyam Bose, who himself did not get a Nobel Prize, but people get Nobel Prize for discovering bosons and bosons. And Satish Chandra Bose, all the great people in India were created in the Macaulay model. People like you were created in the model of the IITs, which was a big paradigm shift. It was not part of any policy document. It was the Indian Institute of Technology Act 1961, which created the 5 IITs, and we know about it. And I've said this very often that that was a very important turning point in engineering education in India. There were before that, there was IIT, Banaras, there was Hindi College of Engineering, which is the oldest engineering college, etc. But IITs transformed that, and I will later on maybe say how I say it actually transformed, apart from all the other things. So the point that we are making, a policy will make anything. And I make this metaphor. In fact, the Michael Media Lab keeps said this, that education is what the government of society does to you. Learning is what you do to yourself.
Anand, would you like to comment, a couple of things that, so, the way I see it is some of the things that are mentioned in the policy document, they eventually find their way. So, the whole idea of midday meals, then ATL.
And breakfast also. It is now talking of breakfast also.
Breakfast also,
I
right?
almost wanted to go back to school.
So Atal Tinkering Labs, and so it talks about the idea of vocational education starting from grade 6 and coding skill introduction. On the ground, how do you see that happening, Anand? And how kind of realistic do you think that is, and what will we need to do to make it realistic?
Basically, if you ask me about this, I personally feel that there are 2 poles in education in India. There are just a percentage or 2% of schools which are progressive, which have all the money, which take the progressive steps. And there is a whole bunch of schools, around 3.5 lakh schools across the country, which are either run by government or they are either run by trusts, who are granted it by the government. Now, as Dr. Madan Mohan said, policy is just a document. But personally, on the ground, when I work with a lot of government projects, the thing is something which comes to the document is where the IAS officers start talking about it and start bringing it into practice. So, bringing early years in education is definitely important. But what idea appeals me the most in this policy is, in India, we have been shying away from working with hands. Right? Skills have not been looked after with grace in India, and that is the reason there is a mad rush towards gaining degrees. Now, when this policy talks about doing internship from class 6 onwards with sculptors, with carpenters, etc., it possibly would actually give more advantage to students in terms of learning. At the same time, create a better value for the skilled craftsman. One. Second, I am particularly linked with education technology in India. So what I have seen is, even the progressive schools today, which have a lot of technology implemented, in terms of teaching computers, they have always been focusing only on simple applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, which actually need not teach digital natives in today's scenario. The entire thing which has actually brought India into top stage of IT is the coding and the programming construct. So when in the policy document, government specifically mentions that they would be introducing coding from class 6, 7, 8, I think that definitely will give a major push. So, the progressive schools will actually start doing the coding as a program in their schools in detail. And even the government officials would actually be forced to think about bringing into the government schools all these things. Because I come from Madhya Pradesh, and in today's scenario, none of the government schools have good computer labs. Now, when it comes into this kind of a document wherein it becomes a subject, I possibly see that the all the implementers of this policy would be automatically forced to bring in all these things. And this we have all seen happening with the adult tinkering labs in general, right? When 2017 the adult tinkering labs came, the majority thought in most of the people's mind was that this is not going to work in India. But if you look at the top 100 schools which are there in last 2 years, Niti Aayog every year declares top 100 schools, and we see a major chunk of bright ideas coming from schools in the government background or from the low income background schools, right, wherein there is not much of fees, etc. So they had always been lacking resources, not lacking in terms of ideas. Now, the moment some kind of equipments have been made available to the schools, whether the teaching is happening or not is secondary, but even the access has actually led to a lot of things and changing the attitude of students in general. So this is what I personally feel. I also get excited by the idea that till class 5 the education would be more in the mother tongue, which again is something which will lead to understanding, not rote learning. Because when we learn in somebody else's language, it's primarily rote. These are some points which I feel personally, if it's put into the policy, it definitely will come into implementation practices as well in the coming time. So, within 2-3 years, we should see a major change happening.
Sure. Thank you so much. Anustup, any closing thoughts, ideas?
I've said too much. I just say bridge the gap between knowing and doing.
Very well put. Absolutely, very well put. And it is up to us to start doing that. Anand,
I think bringing love to learn is the biggest thing now. Rather than just pushing to learn, it's love to learn. Automatically, everything else will happen.
wonderful. Thank you so much. We have reached the end of the hour, and I personally learned a lot during this session. We will continue this series of questioning, forcing ourselves to think about how do we bring to practice some of these ideas we keep talking at a theoretical level through this Avishkar webinar series. So please join the group Avishkar for Education, where we discuss some of these ideas. We'll try and summarize some of the themes from this webinar and put it in there as well. And I look forward to seeing you all next month. Thank
So
you.
thank
so
you and
much.
best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you so much, Anustu.
Thank you, Pooja.
Thank you, everyone. It was wonderful listening to Dr. Pant.
Great. Thank you.